Two countries, same continent, but very different outcomes when it comes to building wealth. And so, if one of your life goals is to get as rich as possible, are you better off in the United States or Canada? That's what you'll find out in a few minutes. To get our answers, we will do 7 rounds where we will compare 7 key financial aspects anyone trying to become a millionaire should take into consideration, whether it is taxes, high-paying jobs, or even the best real estate environment. So without further ado, let's get started. So round 1, where is it easier to raise money to fund a business idea? The United States is, without any exaggeration, the startup funding capital of the world. At the time of this video, the US gets somewhere around 50% of all global venture capital funding on the planet. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars flowing into American startups every single year. Canada obviously has a startup scene too, but when you compare the raw numbers, it is not even close. To give you an idea, the average deal size for an US startup is about $2.5 million, while in Canada, it is about 1.4 million American dollars. So if you're an entrepreneur looking for fuel to grow, the US gives you access to a bigger money engine. Canada is trying as well though, but the gap is significant at the time of this video. And that's why the first round goes to the United States. Now, raising money is one thing, but once you've built something, you need customers. And this leaves us to the second point. Where is the best market to sell to? This is where the US has an almost unfair advantage. The American consumer market is one of the largest and most powerful on the planet. You're looking at over 330 million people with relatively high disposable income, a strong culture of spending, and a willingness to try new products and services at all time. When an American business manages to find product-market fits, scaling to millions of dollars in revenue is a realistic path because the US market is just that big and deep. Canada, on the other hand, has around 40 million people. That's like only selling to the state of California. If you're selling to Canadians only, your ceiling is lower by default. A lot of successful Canadian entrepreneurs eventually have to look south anyway, just to keep growing. To give you an even better idea, at the time of this video, about 80% of Canadians export are actually to the US. That's how dependent Canadian entrepreneurs are on the US's gigantic customer market. Now, technically, you might say both countries have access to the global market online, right? But in practice, American businesses have a natural home field advantage anyway. The reasons are simple. In the US, you share the same language, same currency, and same culture across 330 million potential buyers from day one. That's just too hard to beat, and that's why round 2 goes to the US again, making it 2-0 America. All right, let's move to round 3. Who taxes you less when you make money on your business? Surprisingly, this is where Canada finally fights back. When you look at the absolute top corporate tax rates in both countries, America actually taxes business profits more than Canada does. At the time of this video, the combined federal and state corporate tax rate in the US can push into the mid to high 20s percentage-wise depending on the state. Canada's combined federal and provincial rate is generally in a similar range, but here's the key difference. Canada has something called the small business deduction. If your Canadian-controlled private business makes under roughly 500,000 Canadian dollars, which is about 370,000 US dollars at the time of this video, you get a significantly reduced tax rate on those profits. We're talking rates that can drop down to around 9 to 12% federally. Now, none of what I say is tax advice, but that's what I found out, and this can be a real and meaningful break for a small business owner just getting started and building itself up. So if you're running a smaller operation in Canada and keeping your profits under that threshold, your tax bill can actually be lower than what you'd pay in the US, since America doesn't have an equivalent benefit at that scale for small businesses. So this round goes to Canada, making America lead by only 1 point now. Now, instead of taxes on business profits, let's talk about taxes on income for everyday workers that are not entrepreneurs. A lot of people build wealth the old-fashioned way, meaning they work, they save, and they invest. So the question becomes, after the government takes its cut, how much money are you actually bringing home? And this is where the gap opens up again. At the time of this video, the average American household takes home roughly 44,000 US dollars per year after taxes. Meanwhile, the average Canadian household takes home roughly 44,000 Canadian dollars after taxes. But when you convert, it gives around 32,000 US dollars, again, at the time of this video. That's a pretty meaningful difference. You're talking about roughly 12,000 US dollars more per year in the average American's pocket. Over a decade of working and saving, that gap compounds a ton. If you're investing that difference, it turns into a significantly larger wealth gap over time. This gives back a 2-point lead to America over Canada. And speaking personal income, if you're serious about improving your finances, I suggest you start using budget planner books. These books help you track your income as well as your expenses on a monthly basis and help you figure out how to save extra money every month. I personally started to save hundreds of dollars by canceling my unused subscriptions and realizing how much I overspend on food by using these books for myself. If you want to buy one for yourself while supporting the channel, in the video description you'll find a few links to order some for yourself on Amazon. Now let's get back to round 5. Who taxes you less on capital gains you make on your investment profits? I'm talking about buying stocks, index funds, and many other forms of assets and how much of your profits you actually keep when you sell. And when you look at the top rates in both countries, they're honestly in a similar neighborhood. So at first glance, you might call it a draw. But that's not the full picture. Let's focus on the average investor. In the United States, if your income is low enough, you pay 0% in federal capital gains taxes. 0. On the higher end, if you're a middle-class investor, like a household making under roughly $90,000 to $100,000, you're in the 15% capital gains bracket, not the ordinary income rate. America has actually built in a system that rewards people who are climbing the wealth ladder with lower taxes on their investments. That's a real structural advantage that Canada doesn't have. In the country of maple syrup, capital gains are taxed differently. I don't want to lose you with the different tax rules, but you don't have this 0% or 15% exemption if you're low income. However, some Canadians would argue that Canada arguably has something even better, which is a tax-free saving account where you can invest and take profits without paying taxes. However, since your amount is limited, and that in average, Americans still pay less capital gains on their overall investment portfolios, we're going to give this round to America for a 4-to-1 lead. Next, real estate. Real estate is one of the most common ways people build serious wealth nowadays, so this round matters a ton. And here's a fact that might surprise you. Canada has actually seen higher home price growth over the past few decades than the US. So on pure appreciation alone, you might think Canada wins this one. But real estate wealth isn't just about price growth. It's about the whole system around buying and owning property. And that's where America does some things Canada simply can't match. First, in the US, you can lock in a fixed mortgage rate for 30 years. That means your monthly payment stays the same for 3 decades, no matter what interest rates do after you take the deal. In Canada, however, the maximum fixed term for most mortgages is 5 years, after which you have to renew at whatever rate is available at the time. That's a massive difference in financial stability and long-term planning, and make it far more profitable in America when you lock in good deals. Second, in the US, there's something called a 1031 exchange. Briefly, when you sell an investment property and buy another one, you can defer the capital gains taxes on that sale. You can keep rolling your profits into bigger properties without getting hit with a tax bill every time. Canada doesn't have an equivalent. Every time a Canadian sells an investment property, they're generally paying taxes on those gains right then and there. Now third, in most American cities, a home costs roughly 5 to 6 times the average household income. In Canada, that ratio is more like 7 to 8 times the average income, which means homes are less affordable relative to what people earn, making it harder to get into the market in the first place. So yes, the fact that more appreciation is occurring in Canada helps, but with these 3 structural advantages among many others, they make the real estate market simply more profitable in the US, giving America a 5-to-1 lead now. Finally, the last round, the best job market to get high-paying jobs. If your plan to build wealth involves getting a high-paying job in tech, finance, law, medicine, engineering, or anything else, the US is in a completely different league. American salaries in these fields are significantly higher than their Canadian equivalents. A software engineer at a major tech company in San Francisco or Seattle can earn 2 to 3 times what a comparable role pays in Toronto or Vancouver. Finance professionals in New York are similarly in a different stratosphere. And everyday healthcare workers in the US simply make more than Canadians in general. And this isn't just a theoretical comparison. Canadians are literally voting with their feet as well. Talented Canadians are literally moving south to take American jobs because the compensation is so much better there. When your own country's skilled workers are consistently choosing to leave for better pay, that should tell you something. It's not a knock on Canada though, it's just a reflection of where the money is. That gives round 7 to America, for for a final score of 6-1 over Canada. This score probably explained better why, at the time of this video, roughly 8 to 9% of American households are millionaires in US dollar terms. While in Canada, that figure drops to around 5% when you convert Canadian wealth to US dollars. That gap reflects almost everything we just talked about. America has more income, better investment conditions, a deeper market, and more structural tools to build and keep wealth. But it doesn't mean you cannot build wealth in Canada, simply that the US system might be more favorable for most ambitious people. Now, if you found this video useful and want to see more similar content, why not give it a like? And why not watch one of the videos showing on your screen right now? I'll see you on the next one.